Yeah, so I think let's start. So first of all, thank you everybody for joining today, and thank you for all the newcomers that joined our group as well. It's always exciting to see everybody join, and getting to know all the existing people as well. So just before we maybe continue, just some of the logistics, please. We ask that you guys maybe mute if you're unless you've got something to say or have a question. It just helps us as the presenters know, for instance, who's asking questions, and secondly of all, just out of not disrupting the content itself. Then secondly is that we've got all our sessions that's being recorded. So, we do post the recordings afterwards if you guys want to maybe make use of that and just have that as a reference. I know there's a lot of content being shared at the moment, but what's always great about these sessions is in case you can't make it, then you can always go back and view it on YouTube, or even, share it with another colleague. Then for today's agenda, we've got just two main items and we're also thinking of extending this a little bit more. But I'm take you through some of the news and what's new, and then secondly is our great colleague here, Roger, is going to showcase the Microsoft relationship selling. Firstly, I want to maybe just show you guys, we've uploaded all our previous footage, all our previous recordings onto the YouTube site. So these are some great reference sites for you guys to bookmark. The Cape Town Power Platform YouTube channel is available. I ask you guys to please subscribe. It really helps us a lot with subscriptions, as well as the Joburg Josie Pug one is available, and then also Roger has got a YouTube channel. I didn't know about it too earlier this week, and he produces some great content on there. So yeah, be sure to bookmark these different sites. Now, just some features, and that's what's in the news. So we are having a Power Apps virtual training session on the 25th of August. This is free training sessions that's available to all customers and partners and to the public essentially. I've added in here the URL also. So please go visit that URL, sign up, make sure you go and register, and that will be the session coming up now on the 25th of August. Then also what we've got an app in a day session. We actually got 3 different sessions in 3 different time zones delivered by different partners. We've got the 2nd, the 3rd, as well as the 8th of September. Make sure to go and also register for those sessions. What I've done is I've just added a 01, 02, 03 in the URLs. Is app in a day, so it's quite easy to remember, and then just with the numbers next to it. Then lastly, we've got the private virtual agents, the bots sessions coming up, the PVA bot, and then also the Cape Town MS developer session that is tomorrow. They're having a special part on the Power Apps Power Platform that they're doing, and they've got a guest there, Donna, that's from a Microsoft perspective there as well. So please make sure to go check it out. And it's always great to see what they are doing from a Xamarin and a Power Apps perspective. Lastly, what I want to touch on, I just want to check why is this thing now moving so quickly, is that we've got different partner sales plays. And the great thing about these different partner sales plays that Microsoft provides is if you are working with a partner that's a gold partner or certified partner on our managed partner list, we've got activated sales plays that you can make use of. I know that since we are now level 2 lockdown, a lot of the customers are looking at return to the office policies, and also look at fiscal, different applications on that. in a sense of how you can return to the office. Also, different things like here we've got, again, app in a day sessions. We've got fraud prevention in a day. There's another offering that we have. E-commerce in a day, as well as things like customer insights in a day. So one of our great offerings is called Customer Insights. It gives you customer 360 view of your customer. And we've got a specific offering around that, and it will help you build out those customer 360 view based on all your different data sets that is available. So definitely make use of this. Ask your customers or even your partners around these different sales plays and to have a look into that. But this is a great motion that Microsoft is driving at the moment. Also, something to mention is that if you guys are looking at the return to the workplace offering that Microsoft has at the moment, it is on the app source. It is a templatized solution that's built on the Power Apps, and also our great friends from the CTPPUG or Johannesburg community, they've delivered a session last week on this. So I would encourage you guys to go and watch it. It is also available on their YouTube site. So once again, go visit the YouTube site, subscribe there. They deliver a lot of great content. And this will also show you guys how to set it up, what is the requirements for it, and then also what is the offerings on top of that, right? So that is what they've done at the moment, the guys from CTPPUG. Then also what we're going to do in the future, we are looking at combining the two online meeting events. So at the moment, what we have is we've got the Cape Town chapter and we've got the Johannesburg chapter. And just maybe we're going to try it out if we combine the two. The great thing about that, what it will give us is the ability to maybe deliver more content, give us ability to scale, and then also, have more specific topics that we want to cover. So we're going to try that out as well. Then I think, sorry, let me just go back one. With the Power Virtual Agents that's going to be delivered, our MTC, our Microsoft Technology Center host, Jonathan Hart, he's delivering that session. So once again, make sure if you don't know what is the Power Virtual Agent or the bots, sorry, I don't know why this thing is going back and forth like that. It is a very easy and intuitive way to get up and running, to communicate with your customers, to have a chat bot that integrates into Flow as well as your backend systems and get that information into your customers, to chat to them basically, essentially, in a very quick and easy manner. We'll also do a session on that in the coming months to show you guys maybe a Power Virtual Agent 101 session. And then I've got some resources as well that I want to share, but I'll share this in the slide deck afterwards because there's quite a lot of links that's available. Some of these topics we did cover in our past sessions, but I thought once again, there is a great guides on here, for instance, how do you get started, some of the learning resources, pro tips, as well as the community forums, building guide on building your first app, etc., etc. Once again, our YouTube channel, so please, I ask you guys to subscribe. It's a great resource, and we are going to start publishing more and more content on that. We are looking at also, making more content available to the public. As you guys can see, there's a lot of training, but there's a lot of more content coming around as well, especially with the new software releases that's coming, the Wave 2 feature set, etc., etc. So bookmark these links and make sure that is available. Talking about the Wave 2 feature set, I want to maybe just exit out of here and then jump into my environment and just show you guys how do you actually activate it. So if you go to admin.powerplatform.com, what will happen, it will bring up the admin center for you, and it will showcase, let me just make this full screen, never mind, and it will, yeah, there we go. If you go to admin.powerplatform.com, it will showcase all your environments for you. Now, what you want to do is you select an environment first, and then it will give you the ability to go and also enable the Wave 2 releases for that environment in here. Once you've enabled it, unfortunately, you can't go and disable it. But what's great about it, you get preview of all the new features that is going to be released. You can play around with it, and there's some really, really great features available, right? For me, one of the great features that is available inside of the Dynamics 365 marketing app is the ability to schedule online events with teams. Previously, you had to do it through On24. There's a third-party provider, but now Microsoft has enabled it for Teams as well. So it's quite easy just to enable that. So inside of your marketing app, you select Settings, and then under your Advanced Marketing Settings, there is an option. Let me just quickly find it here for feature switches. So you go into the feature switches option. And then inside of that, you've got now all the different feature switches for the second wave that's coming up. So what I've done is I've just enabled the events for Microsoft Teams. And then also what you can do is you can integrate that with what we call customer voice. Now, customer voice is essentially the rebranding of the Forms Pro, the surveying engine. And now there's an integration into that as well. So when you build out your customer journey inside of the marketing app, then you can link a survey directly into that. Now, just to maybe show you how this works is that when I go and I create a new event inside of the marketing, and I've done that by just clicking events, discard that, and select new, I've got the ability to say stream this event online. So once I've done that, what will happen is I select my provider. So I've got here different providers. At the moment, there's Teams Live event. And then what happens is that once I've saved this, I get a team URL or Microsoft Teams URL. Now, this is very powerful for, if you think about it, I need to do an event. We've had some scenarios where people even do internal training and they need to send out, a link to attendees. Another option to think about it is that I can now schedule this meetup through the marketing app, for instance, and have a team link and people can attend the team link. But it's a great way to sign up. It's a great way to share that using Microsoft Teams. And if you guys want, I can do a session on the marketing app, on some of the capabilities that it has. Just let me know. It would be great to actually get your feedback on what sessions you guys found useful, as well as some of the content and as well as some of the sessions that you guys want me to do or even present on. So I'm just going to go back to the slides there. And that brings me to my next slide where we are calling for speakers. Now, if you've got a great solution or you just want to showcase some of the work that you've done, you've maybe built an app, or even you just want to have a few slides that you describe some of the features or functions that you've discovered. It can even be a great customer story. Please, 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 I ask you to visit that URL, the sessionizer.com call for speakers, and we'll slot you in for a session. This is always great if you're also building app, maybe your own personal brand, or you're thinking of becoming an MVP in this space. It's always like we give back to the community. And with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Roger. So for those that don't know Roger is probably the most well-known Dynamics person in Cape Town on the Power Platform. He also has got his own YouTube channel that he films. He keeps that up to date, and he does a lot of great demos. I've worked very closely with Roger in the past. He really knows the product set quite well. So Roger, I'm going to hand that over to you, and he's going to present to us today the Microsoft Relationship Selling tool, and it's a very, very powerful tool. If you guys don't use it already, I would really suggest have a look into that and make use of that.
Awesome. Thanks, Monet.
Thank you.
Just share my screen now. Cool. Good. So we're going to spend some time having a look at Microsoft Relationship Sales. Monet, is that I'm getting a bit of feedback there. Can you just go on mute quickly? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I've been using the tool on and off for a couple of years now. It's definitely in its latest form. It's evolved to be extremely useful and definitely one of the most fun pieces of software I've used as an end user of it for a little while. So obviously I've been in the sales game for a long time. I think most of you on the call I do know. There's one or two that I don't. And obviously with our strange times that we're in at the moment, it's really difficult being in sales. For those of you who are in the sales game, you know this. And it's really difficult building relationships, finding new relationships in this online world. So I'm hoping that what I'm going to show you today will show you how I'm doing that and built up quite an existing sort of client base over time that, in my case, a lot of my sales are coming from. But I've got a friend who has just started out and in fact literally started his own freelance business just ahead of going into lockdown. So very unfortunate timing for him. But I was chatting to him the other day and he was saying, no, actually, he's done really well. He's got a whole lot of new clients. And I was like, wow, that's impressive. How did you do that? And he was saying, no, I've been using Sales Navigator, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is one of the components here, together with his CRM. And that's really been helping him build a business that is making him more money than he was in his previous business before he went into lockdown. So I thought that was really impressive and a real story. So just to make it real for you, this is, I suppose, a graphic that describes the evolution of the sales role in this new digital world. So most salespeople started out in the face-to-face selling business, and those of us who've been in a long time are good at that. And obviously, as digital opportunities have evolved, there's been increasing automation, probably starting with email. I mean, these days, WhatsApp is a critical sales tool, right? So increasingly, we're leveraging these digital channels for automation. But there's a new wave, and Microsoft Relationship Sales is an example of that. And this is really about leveraging these digital technologies to build relationships at scale, okay, to really accelerate the whole process. So some stats for you. The first three there are actually from LinkedIn. So you'll see this is a study in 2018 of 1,336 LinkedIn plus CRM integrated customers. So they found that salespeople leveraging these tools had 18% more pipeline, greater than 7% win rate, or increase of 7% win rate, and an increase of 33% in the size of deals by leveraging the tool. Those of you who've been in the Microsoft space a while will know Nucleus Research. So Microsoft actually contracted them to do some analysis specifically of the Microsoft Relationship Sales tool. And what they found was a 12 to 15% productivity increase for the salespeople using it, 30% increase win rates, and overall the people using it had an 80% improvement year on year. So it's pretty compelling. And I've got sort of a list of the features that I've put together based on all the information. I spent quite a bit of time researching this tool, and I wasn't really finding a good detailed feature list, so I've put one together myself. So this is what I plan to now demo for you, and we'll come back to this and just make sure that we've kind of addressed all the main points. But the goal of Microsoft Relationship Sales is to help you target the right people, to understand the needs of those people that you're targeting, as we've been saying, to engage using this digital scale that we now have, to then validate your contact data against your CRM, and then to be able to analyze the performance of the teams using it. Because it's so digital, there's a lot of information that we're trapping and tracking that we can analyze. So I'm going to dive into the tools now, and I'm going to start with Dynamics. So this is obviously the sales hub of Dynamics. I think most of us in the space are familiar with Dynamics. And the demo today, although it touches on Dynamics, is not really about Dynamics. But for people that might not be very familiar with Dynamics sales, obviously this is a sales performance management tool in the Dynamics 365 stack. So this is actually the MS Field demo. I think all of you on this call will have access to this on the Microsoft environment. Again, reach out to Morne or I if you would like to know, where on the Microsoft sites to access this. It's a particularly cool resource. You'll see this is actually a Power BI dashboard showing inside Dynamics from a sales data perspective. If I go to something like opportunities, I mean, those of you will know that the tool helps you manage your pipeline of opportunities. In this case, what you're seeing is some functionality coming through from the sales insights capability in the Dynamics 365 stack. So this is Microsoft's AI capability on top of the sales app. And what you see is it's got information about relationship health. So we've got good, fair, and poor with a relationship indicator of improving, steady, or declining. And this gives you quite a cool graphic like this, where the size of the balls is the value of the deal, and the relationship health is on this axis, and the days outstanding is on this axis. And then if we open up one of these opportunities, obviously, as you know, in Dynamics, we get all of the activities we're doing around the opportunity. We obviously know when it's going to close, what its value is. We get some of this relationship information, and notably this relationship analytics tab, if we have got the sales insights capability enabled. So in this case, this is telling me emails, meetings, and phone calls, the number from us and the number from them. So with all of this information being leveraged out of Office 365, right? There's quite a lot we can do in terms of that relationship health analytics that you were seeing. But this is not the topic of the presentation. What is the topic of the presentation, having set that sort of scene, is, and let me just get to the right window here. Right, so I'm going to start with Sales Navigator. So Microsoft Relationship Sales is the combination of Dynamics 365 Sales, which you've just seen a little bit of, and we're going to get back to, and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So I'm sure you're all on LinkedIn. For those of you who haven't tried Sales Navigator, this is the sales app within the LinkedIn subscription options. So there is Recruiter, there is Premium, and there's a couple of different services like that. One of the key features of it is the ability to put searches together. So I've actually got a saved search that I use all the time, but you can also put in your own searches and you can save your different searches. So in this case, I'm looking in Cape Town in a couple of industries. So I'm interested in people in financial services, specifically insurance, investments. And you'll see I can put in all kinds of things like what school people went to, you name it. I can put in the seniority level of the people I'm looking for, so their roles in the organization. Here I've got their business function, so I'm interested in people in marketing, sales, information technology, and business development. You can put in a business size. Yeah, you'll see there's the ability to put in tags here. So again, once you start building up your lists, you can tag people and tag lists. You can then search on those. And in a minute, I'll talk about how this integrates with your CRM, but you'll see here you can search on contacts that are synchronized with CRM as well. So what this is telling me is I'm going to get like over 1,000 results here. And if I search, we're going to get some details coming back. So there's a couple of things that you can do here. If I just, okay, so maybe just talk about these searches. So you can save a search. And what that looks like, if you go to your lists here, you'll see I've got some saved searches. And if I go to this one, If I open one of these records on a safe search, obviously this is the information from LinkedIn that is available for this person. I'm just choosing a colleague here, so not to share too much confidential information, although this info is on LinkedIn anyway. And yeah, I've got the power of everything that's in LinkedIn here. If I wasn't already connected with this person, this would actually give me a button here to create in CRM. And that would push it straight to Dynamics. So previously, I've connected my Dynamics login to LinkedIn, and the two are now connected. Because Andre is already linked to CRM, I get this little blue icon. And if I click Andre, it's actually going to open my CRM. So in this case, this CRM is actually my Mint CRM. So we call it WorkRoute internally. I see there's a couple of colleagues here. Hello, Minties. And yeah, I'm now in CRM. So that's pretty impressive. I've gone straight from LinkedIn into my CRM. And obviously in my CRM, I mean, this is a colleague of mine, so there's not going to be too much sales opportunities that I've got with Andre or customer service cases that I've got with Andre. But these are the kind of things I'd have in my CRM that obviously LinkedIn wouldn't have, right? As well as all the demographics and other ways in which I've categorized Andre. And then what we also get is this LinkedIn Sales Navigator tab. Now these, what they call widgets, are very configurable. So I've got them in 3 little panes. That's actually the default. But you can take each one of these and you can put them wherever you like. For those of you who know all about Dynamics configuration, you'll know you could have this anywhere on your forms, and you can have them wider than 1 column each as well, by the way. But what this is showing me is for Andre, here's that LinkedIn information. If I wanted to go back to Sales Navigator, I can just click this button and it opens them up again in Sales Navigator. I can also see what lists I've got Andre on in Sales Navigator. And then I've got icebreakers. So in this case, we've got some shared contacts. Obviously, we both work at Mint. We both attended the University of Cape Town, and we're part of 10 mutual groups on LinkedIn. So the idea of these icebreakers, I'm a salesperson. I'm trying to target Andre for some prospective business. Before I get hold of him, these are things that are maybe talking points, things we have in common. And then talking of getting introduced, I can hit this Get Introduced button. Basically what that does, it shows me people that we both know on LinkedIn that I can get introduced to. And that happens through these emails. We'll talk about emails in 1 second. Something important to note about that. So in the second window here, you're seeing the company that Andre works for. So it happens to be Mint. And similarly, against the account in my Dynamics, Mint will be linked. And again, I can view it in Sales Navigator and all the information about the account. But I can also see other people at Mint from this Connections tab. So these are people that are in my connected list. Obviously, a lot of my colleagues are connected on LinkedIn to me, but these ones are not. And there's another 115 contacts here at Mint that I can connect to via TeamLink. So TeamLink is a feature of LinkedIn Sales Navigator where I can connect to my colleagues and I can then leverage their relationships and their networks on LinkedIn, both in terms of this get introduced, and I will see them here. And I've got better access to them. So in a big organization, you can imagine that gives you quite a rich extra layer of additional information inside LinkedIn beyond what you have normally in your own connections, right? So that's pretty cool. And then I referred to InMail. So InMail, I'm sure some of you have sent messages on LinkedIn. If you're just a normal LinkedIn member, I think you get 5 of those messages, and then you're going to start getting a message that you can't send a message directly to someone. So there are levels, and if there are 3 different levels of Sales Navigator. The top level is Enterprise, and it has 50 of these InMail messages in a month. So what that means is anybody on LinkedIn, whether I know them or not, I can send them a message. And apparently the success rate, or the click-through rate, the read rate anyway, on these email messages is dramatically better than it is on email. Again, there's a science to how you send these. For those of you who've been bombarded on LinkedIn by these kind of messages, most people don't know how to use them properly. So again, what you'll see in Sales Navigator is under this help section here. If I go to Help Center, there is quite a rich set of information here. Again, the whole LinkedIn learning platform is what this is based off. I'm sure some of you have tried that. There's really quite a wealth of information on LinkedIn around this. But there's everything on here, from how to leverage social selling, how to use email, as you can see here, the do's and don'ts on how to be successful using it. So there you go. And one of the features of that email is the ability to hit this little tick box for CRM. And if you do that, if I go back to my timeline, here is an example, if I can find it. Okay, I think it's a bit further down. Let me load it. There's one that'll be called message. There's a LinkedIn message. Okay, there's too many communications happening here with Andre because he's a colleague of mine. But somewhere in here, you'll see there's a note from Sales Navigator. A little bit further up on, there was a phone call I captured. Oh, there it is. There's a phone call from Sales Navigator. These are other features I'm going to talk about in a second. But similarly, when I send a message to Andre and I hit that tick, you're going to get something called message. So it says LinkedIn message. So again, that's great. Along with all the other communications in my CRM, in this sort of timeline view, I'm going to see those LinkedIn messages as well. Cool. So one of the key things that happens when you link up your Sales Navigator to your Dynamics 365 is you're getting this information to start to flow both ways. So one of the benefits for me is the contact picture. So you notice I've automatically got Andre's picture in my contacts. This looks quite cool on the mobile app. When you open the mobile app in Dynamics and you've got everybody's picture, you can actually literally see everybody's picture in a long row. That is really nice. It just definitely adds a sort of personal touch to the whole thing. So that starts to flow. The other thing that starts to happen on the Sales Navigator side, obviously, if I go to my home screen, I've got these alerts. And what's happening here is for any of the people that I've got in a saved search or that I've saved as what's called a lead in LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I'm now going to start to get these alerts coming through. So that is really handy as a salesperson, just knowing, somebody's moved company, or, just by seeing what people are posting, it gives you insights into their organization and their industry. It's really helpful keeping tabs of the stuff. And I'm sure for those of you that are in the sales game, you're using LinkedIn anyway, and you're probably getting that kind of information. But what this does is it really puts it in your face. As you're updating a sales opportunity, or as you're going to a client to load a new contact, it's literally being pushed to you and making sure that as you're adding new contacts, they're coming in through here. So one of the things you get, these are auto-generated. These 104 contacts, or as they're called in LinkedIn, leads, are coming into LinkedIn purely because I've connected it to my CRM. So as a result, because it's a saved list, I'm going to get alerts for them in my feed in Sales Navigator. So just by linking up Sales Navigator with my CRM, automatically all those contacts are flowing between the two, and I start to get this additional value coming through, which as a user of this, I've really been very impressed. It's very handy. Cool. Okay, you noticed notes there. So again, if you're sitting on a contact, you can just create some notes. You can do that on the Sales Navigator side. Obviously, there's notes in CRM, but you can do this in Sales Navigator as well. And again, what that's going to do is push back through to dynamics in the activity history, which is quite handy. Smart links is a very cool feature. It was previously called, I've actually forgotten the name of it previously, probably many of you have heard of it. And what that allows you to do is put up basically like a little landing page, which you can give to prospects. So you can upload, for example, a proposal, which is what I did here. And I can then send it to, well, basically what happens is you send a link to this document. So you can get this link off the site here. And it's being tracked. So as people are visiting that link, you can see how long they've been viewing it and where they came from. So if, for example, you're dealing with somebody in an organization, you put a proposal together for them, you send it through, and this is a real experience I've been having, suddenly you start to see somebody else that's viewing this proposal. And it's really revealing seeing who's reviewing it. So if that person receives the email in a link and they forward it to 5 colleagues who then log on and start viewing it, you're getting all that information tracked. So that's pretty handy. So that is SmartLink. Yeah.
Sorry, Roger. So was that the pipe drive previously?
Pipe drive, thank you. Yes, that's the word. So it's just a rename. It's the same functionality, yeah.
And like you said, what's quite powerful about it is that, like, you sent through that proposal, but you can see also who in the different departments and different divisions views that, and it actually opens up that opportunity a lot more.
Yes, and maybe I should have just mentioned, it actually comes up in your alert list. So in your feed, I think if you go further down, you'll see where I'm viewing that document. Obviously, I was doing that one as a test. And you also get an email alert. So it says, you know, John is viewing your proposal. So that's pretty handy knowing as well when people are viewing things.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay, just to mention as well that there are a couple of features of LinkedIn Sales Navigator that are included from LinkedIn Premium. So I think a number of you probably know what LinkedIn Premium is. When you just log on to LinkedIn and use it, you're a normal LinkedIn user, you can opt in for a paid subscription on LinkedIn Premium. And a number of those features are actually included with Sales Navigator. And one of those is the ability to have what they call private profile views. So in other words, I can view Andre's profile, and he is not going to know that I have done that. As you know, on LinkedIn, normally that is tracked, and Andre would know that I've viewed his profile. With that LinkedIn Premium feature, it's private, or put it this way, I can opt in for it to be private. The other feature there is the reverse, right? So I actually get to see all of the people that have viewed my profile. So I've been doing quite well. It's gone up 433% in the last week. And yeah, so there were 50 people that viewed my profile. If I click on that, obviously I can then see who they are. So that's a LinkedIn Premium feature, which is included in Sales Navigator. Okay. So another very cool feature of this is the data validation that I alluded to when we were talking in the beginning. So if I go to a list of contacts in my CRM, one of them is when you've got this LinkedIn Navigator integration installed, is contacts not at company. So what this is a list of contacts where the company name is different to what it is in LinkedIn. So it's warning me that potentially I've got a data validation problem here. Maybe I should go and have a look and just check that my company names are correct. And then if you're on sales opportunities, what actually happens is you get a similar list, which is called, it's actually called opportunities at risk. So what it's saying is you've got an opportunity here that you're linking to a contact. That contact's company doesn't tie up with what's in LinkedIn. And therefore, potentially this person has moved businesses in the time you've been dealing with them. And for those of us in the sales game, you know that's very often the end of your deal. So those are what it's calling opportunities at risk. Where else you see that, and I'm just going to use one of the examples in our system where I've set this up. In the organizational chart in Dynamics, you also see that with this little red dot. So what it's telling me is this person is potentially at risk because the company, they probably don't fit in the structure any longer if their company doesn't tie up between the two systems. So that's pretty cool. There's also quite a bit of analytics in Sales Navigator. So with an admin account, I get to see this kind of information. So at the moment in Mint, there are 5 of us that are linked on Sales Navigator, and I get to see usage information. So in this case, a graph of how many people have been active, how many searches they've performed, how many profile views they've done, how many leads they've saved, accounts they've saved, lists created. And I get an effectiveness view as well. So I get to see, for example, how many emails they've been sending. And in fact, there is also a Power BI view. Let me just see if I can load it quickly. Sorry, I should have done that ahead of time here. And that gives you a bunch of pre-done reports in Power BI connecting straight to this information. And it is this one. And there's some pretty cool stuff that you get to see. Again, in a big organization where your sales teams are leveraging this, this can be very insightful. So again, all the same information we've been seeing, but just very much more graphical. Who's using the system, who's doing searches. So you can see one of my colleagues here is really using it a lot. And there is also a social selling index in LinkedIn. And this is telling you how the social selling index is broken down based on people's LinkedIn usage and how that's evolving over time. So again, you can see whether your team using the tool are being effective in their use. There's another feature that I can maybe just mention, and that is there is a mobile app for Sales Navigator. I won't show it to you now, but it gives you basically all of the Sales Navigator information, all your saved lists, all of your alerts, everything is on mobile. And one of the features of that is the ability to actually, there's a little phone call button, and you can call people directly from the app. So it'll just phone their normal number that is linked in LinkedIn. But one of the features of it is that little tick box that you saw on CRM. So it will actually write back that phone call record back to Dynamics. So when I was showing you Andre's record and in the timeline history, you saw that phone call record. That's what that is. So that's quite handy. I very often get asked by people using Dynamics, you know, can I see a record of the calls I've made? I mean, that is a great way to do it. So just going back to that list of features, I hope that I've been able to show you all of the features that make up the ability to target the right people. The features that allow you to understand all of their needs. I hope I've been able to show you that engagement at scale, being able to send people emails, being able to leverage those smart links, the data validation to be able to make sure that your data is as up to date as it possibly can be, analyzing your team's performance using all of the analytics. So the last thing I want to just talk about is how the pricing of this works. So maybe I'll just show you this link quickly. Okay, I don't actually have it open at the moment. If you have a look on the Sales Navigator website, you'll see the prices of the different products. It's about $60 per user per month for LinkedIn team level. And there is a enterprise level, which is about 100 and something. I think it's $101 per user per month. You probably know that sales enterprise of Dynamics is around $95. And this should say a professional. I see the slide is wrong, but the professional, actually no, the enterprise product is required in both cases for Dynamics. So 101 for LinkedIn plus 95 for Dynamics. You can see here you can get these licenses as a bundle called Microsoft Relationship Sales for quite a reduced fee. There is a requirement to be an enterprise agreement user. So I see there are quite a few people on the call that actually are part of businesses would have access to an enterprise agreement. And then there is additional volume scaling as well as you increase the number of users on this platform. Something to be just clear about, if you're already a user of Dynamics 365 Sales Enterprise and you already use Sales Navigator, this integration is free. You just download it from the App Store and you install it. It's just a requirement that you are licensed for both products, obviously, to use it. Okay, so that is pretty much what I wanted to show you. Yeah, if any of you got any questions or anything, I'd be happy to field those. Very cool product.
Yeah, Roger, I've got a question. The question is that the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it won't automatically sync the data between LinkedIn and Dynamics, correct? You have to push that sync. So what I mean by that is exactly what we saw now, where somebody updates maybe their mobile number or they change their titles. It will just tell you that there is a difference between the records, but it won't update it itself.
Yes, the exception to that is when you say create in CRM from LinkedIn. And then as a one-time copy, it copies down the data that it has in LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, but it won't keep phone numbers and things up to date or emails up to date beyond that. As you say, it'll just tell you where their company has changed. So there's a little flag in Dynamics under the hood, which is not at company. And that flag is updated if when it's comparing to LinkedIn, if the account name is different to what it's got on LinkedIn.
Okay. This is a really great feature. A while back, I was involved in a product or even with a team. And what's interesting, they had a whole team that had to phone clients and make sure that these clients' details are up to date. Once a year, you'll send out a mail, make sure that all your information is correct, look at when was the last interaction with those guys. And what's also difficult there is that they couldn't fully track, what was the engagement other people had with these customers. So for instance, if I talk to Andre and then I talk to you around something similar or even the same proposal that we go through, there's no simple way to track that. But it seems like with this, you just send me the LinkedIn link, I view it, and I can also pass that on to my colleagues, and you have full view of that,
Very much so. I think the fundamental thing is Sales Navigator is a game changer for sales teams. It's like cheating. It really is. If you're targeting a specific market, as you saw, I can put in those search criteria. It tells me who I need to speak to. It then gives me a tool to be able to reach out to them directly, leveraging my network. And then to integrate that into my CRM and have all the power of what you need to keep track of your CRM sales world and have the two update each other is just an unbeatable combo. It really, it's like cheating.
And tell me, on the product itself, you can get away with just LinkedIn or just Dynamics, right? You don't need the one plus the other, but it makes sense to integrate the two together.
Yeah, it's more than makes sense, Morne. Having now tried this myself for a good couple of weeks, what it really does is it just unlocks the value of both. I have to go into my CRM anyway to update my opportunities so that my company's forecasts come out correctly. So I'm in there all the time anyway. I go and update my contact details so that it flows down to my phone and that I can invite people to an event when we're doing a marketing list, as we've just done. The fact that while I'm busy doing that, it's pushing me LinkedIn related information about those contacts all the time. And then seamlessly, when I'm thinking about it from a social selling point of view, and I'm in LinkedIn and I'm putting my queries together, the fact that it's referring to that CRM data, the combination of those two adds exponential value. And that's really where those, those sort of business value metrics in the first slide of mine come from. That is a very real value there.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. I know internally at Microsoft, we've got access to the tool itself, but I haven't used these features as such, but I would definitely will. It's actually, how can you say, we should, right? And
Yes.
I'll definitely will. So yeah, thank you very much. I mean, that was really, I really learned a lot around the MRS side of things.
Fantastic. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Hi, Roger. Sorry, Monique, carry on.
No, please, Nathan, go ahead. I was just asking about the licensing. It seems like, it's tiered licensing. So the more users utilizing it, the more discount you get.
Yes. So the one limitation of that is it is on enterprise agreement customers only, right? EA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that does apply to many of our main customers that we all deal with. Many of you are on the call. But yes, and then as you saw, I think it's from 100 users, you're paying quite a lot less.
With you. Thank you.
Did you have a question, Nathan?
Yeah, it was about the Power BI bit that you just did on the end. I mean, how I get the ability to then analyze kind of the users that we already have within it, and what we can do with that. But do you think, have you managed to play with it and see, can you use that to manipulate data of what others are doing yet, or does it not really, because you're not because they're not part of your connection or licenses, you can't then have the visual on the other side of the coin, if that makes sense? I don't know if I've lost.
Are you talking about your colleagues that are all on Sales Navigator and looking at their data?
Yeah, so I could see.
Mm.
Yeah, I could see what you did with Andre and those guys, and I can see what you've done within Power BI. But what I'm talking about is like your external connections. So I suppose the people that you're targeting or the people you're trying to get in touch with. Right. Have you seen if it can strip any data out of that and be clever?
No, I haven't. So that Power BI usage data is all about people using Sales Navigator inside your organization. I haven't seen anything in terms of being able to connect to the, those saved lists. Yeah. What you get on those saved lists is obviously any of the LinkedIn data that's available for them. The organizations they're part of, how big those organizations are, what industries they're in. Yeah, I think that stays within LinkedIn. I'm not sure you can export that anywhere, Nathan. Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know if there was, as I said, anything clever you've came up with that might, whether you took it out your own CRM or whether you took it out of, I suppose, the LinkedIn data. I suppose a little bit of a tip, and only because I use LinkedIn every day. There is a position on LinkedIn where you can export your contacts and take the data out of there. I think in this instance, you would probably already have it because it sits in your CRM. But yeah.
Yeah, you may well have contacts in LinkedIn in your saved searches that you haven't pushed to CRM. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think what's quite interesting also, Roger, is the fact that you can get those news feeds about organizations, right? And I don't know if anybody's seen on the call, but Microsoft is now releasing, or they've released a news control that you can embed within Dynamics. So it's a PCF control, and essentially how it works, it connects into the Bing news search. So when you embed that onto a form, if I go and I view maybe Mint's, details, then what it will bring back is all the news articles around it. That I believe can be quite a lot of useful information, especially if I take that plus the LinkedIn information. I'm going to go see the customers next week, and suddenly I realize that due to COVID, something happened in the organization, and I know I can adjust my pitch a little bit, or I can even add additional offerings or services for them, maybe something else. So there's something to also have a look at, is that news control that's out there in addition to this. And yeah, I think that, like you said, this is a great sales tool for people. There's also a different part of LinkedIn that I think we didn't touch on today, but it's the LinkedIn Learning bit. And the great thing about the LinkedIn Learning bit is that you can also enable that for your organization. And when you do that, you can also publish content to LinkedIn. So, if you're in the organization itself, and you need to generate content and make sure people are up to date, you can do that also. So in addition to what we've seen today, I think LinkedIn is a great addition to the stack itself, right? So that's just something I thought I'd mention as well.
Very interested in that news PCF control, Mona. If you've got a link or something, that'd be great.
Sure, I'll do that now. Give me a few. So I've shared the link, but essentially, the link just takes you through how to set it up. So you'll have a content block or on the form itself, where you do the changes in the news control, and you add in your keys that you have from the Bing search, news search, and that will bring back information that you set up, right? So you embed it onto the form. Once again, you set the control properties on here, and then that will essentially just go down. Oh, let me go up, just show you guys an example. And that will bring back that news control in there. That actually, if I think of the control itself, I think that's pretty nice control to utilize and maybe build your own custom control in there. If, for instance, you've got, I don't know, information that you want to utilize and show there from a SharePoint site, or even from a different company announcement site, or whatever the case might be, it's quite a great tool that's available, as well as it's available on GitHub, it seems, so you can just download and embed it as well. So yeah, make sure to be on the lookout for this control, right?
Very cool.
Yep. So is there any other questions? Anything?
Not from me, just to say thanks, Moni, and thanks, Roger.
Thank you, everybody.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.
So